Wait a minute.
Okay.
This is the Unfiltered Podcast.
We all experience and encounter expectations, whether it's expectations we put on ourselves or the people around us, or it's expectations that have been placed on us. And to further scrutinize this topic, I have with me today Meet, who is currently in Vancouver, expanding his horizons. And I'm really excited to have this conversation with him. So I'm just going to get right to it. I'm not going to say hi to him because I realized that you guys realize that, I had to say hi to him when I first got him on the call. So I'm not saying hi again, but if he does want to say hi, he can.
Well, hello world.
Well, let's just have a pause there because they're replying to you by saying hi.
Oh, well, greetings to you too.
Okay, so tell me, before we get into this, what's the word of the podcast?
Well, I came up with the word qualtagh, Qualtagh, which is a noun that describes the first person who crosses a threshold, especially after New Year's Day. A person usually considered a bearer of good luck and fortune for the coming year. First person who sees after leaving one's house in the morning. And its origin is from the Gaelic language, which means basically first foot.
Okay, that was a lot of information.
Okay. I'll summarize it.
Let's just simplify this. It's a noun, and it means what?
It means it means first foot, basically referring to the first person who crosses a threshold, especially after a day like New Year's. Originally from the Gaelic language.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
You read the exact same thing as before.
Okay. It was that easy. I spat it out.
Okay, so you do know how what of the podcast works, right? You have to use this in our conversation today about expectations.
Oh yeah, I will try to fulfill that expectation. Let's see the best I can come up with.
And if you say it before I do, you get something in return. Now, mind you, we're not being sponsored very much right now, so it's not going to be something extravagant.
Can I personally extort you?
Yes, sure.
Right. That works.
Okay. So let's get into this. Tell me, what comes to mind when I say expectations?
Well, one of the very first words that comes to mind is complex, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like let's say a to-do list or a list that's been given to you by someone, or you give yourself, and you have to complete that to-do list and everything on it the way it's been stated, and at least in my experience, if it has been different from what's been expected of me, then things do turn a little bit sour, if not bitter.
I think that's what comes with expectations, is there's always room for disappointment, because most of the times expectations are not really lived, especially when they're placed on somebody else. So you're in a situation where when you expect something from someone, you're more likely to get hurt than receive that expectation.
And it is exactly that expectation that really needs to be, redefined. Not redefined, but just explored properly, you see, because in terms of context, at least, it depends on the expectation also, and what it requires of you and situationally before you even start thinking about another party who's involved, you see. In the past few years, I have met and, conversed with a lot of people, and I have seen that everyone's got their own version of expectation that they're using to, get somewhere or, find something. And everyone's on their own journey, right? But what I have seen that's a common theme, if not pattern, is that there's an often misconception, if not confusion, of what expectations are actually supposed to be, serious and treated with that kind of decorum, where if you're unable to stand up to it, then, what are the words you get when you fail an expectation? Sad, or you start holding yourself, or very, you hold yourself very accountable for it, and you just go all hard on yourself, right? And then there are others where it's okay. You can always find another way to supplement that expectation. It doesn't have to necessarily be in that exact way that you have thought of it first, or someone has conveyed it to you, right? I think context really does matter into what is supposed to get to you and what you're supposed to understand. It's just a fundamental part of the situation, and not in any way supposed to affect you, right?
Right, I agree. Has there ever been a time for you where you've been able to control your expectations of something or someone? Has there been a
Yes,
time where you have?
there has been. Well, it's just like any other situation. You see,
Hmm.
well, yeah, there are general expectations that is required for you as an individual of what role you're playing in that position, in that situation,
Hmm.
right? And then there are others that are placed, if not discovered, for you
Right.
to, use as a what do you call it, as a transcript to, use as a stepping stone to, get somewhere.
Hmm.
So, of course, well, initially I didn't, but of learning comes with experience. I'm confident, and uh, over time I did learn how to, hone those expectations to understand that okay, if someone requires something of me, it
Uh-huh.
is the extent of what they require. If there is anything extra that I'm inputting,
Hmm.
it is from within me. So if I have to, you have to understand that if that does not work out on that end, right,
Hmm.
it does not necessarily mean that the entire task has gone to shit, right?
Right.
It does not mean that it reflects badly upon you where let's say 5% of an idea or maybe what you expected from it did not work out. Does not mean that the reflection is entirely bad and you're in a suddenly bad spotlight. But also at the same time, if you do place an expectation, even if it's realistic or not, and you're
Hmm.
unable to carry it out or do something to ac- accomplish a step in that direction, you have to understand that finding another way is always the other way, right? Not
Right.
giving up on not giving up on the task or sidelining it or procrastinating on it is not an option,
Hmm.
right? So if I expect myself to get off my ass and start watching Netflix and get my term paper done by like the end of the week, then if I know I have the end of the week, I expect myself to properly do it,
Hmm.
in a timely manner. If
Right.
not, get a chunk of work done in a few hours and then see how it goes.
Hmm.
And what are the extra expectations is what you have to do in terms of how you do your time management in terms of that term paper. Yeah, I think the easiest example I can give you is at work where they expect me to, have a certain well not have a certain but finish closing my shift. I
Hmm.
usually use work closing shifts and they
Okay,
expect me to
but
finish.
let's give people context. Where do you work? What do you do?
Oh, I am a part-time chef. I work at a restaurant slash brewery, craft
You
house.
just say that nonchalantly, like that's not a big deal. You're a chef.
Kind of, yeah, but then in terms of like actual like labeling, I am still a line cook because I don't have any of the proper documentation of being a chef. Like I don't have the red seal, I don't have any completed programs in culinary, so I'm still a
Hmm.
part-time line cook or worse. But I still do know avenues of food. Yeah, so that is where I work, and
See,
since I
you're selling yourself short. Why can't you just say chef? I mean, nobody needed to go into those details right there.
well, I mean, I guess I just attach that to the, humbleness of my situation and of my input in the situation. See, there we go. That's another expectation. I expect myself to be as humble as I can in
Hmm.
every step as I go. But at the same time, I don't expect myself to, revel in that compliment and, just let it get to me and then, translate that into, oh, I'm better than anyone else or everyone else, and I can do things you can't. And, right. So you see, again, complexity and expectations comes in very many ways.
You can still be very confident and proud of your achievements without looking down on someone, as you said.
Oh, definitely, definitely. But
So,
tell me, it's well, at least on my side, like I don't get me wrong. Over here, everyone is golden people. Like yeah, they have their set of accomplishments and everything, but it's more of like a we perspective rather than a I or me perspective.
mhm,
Right. So anything or everything that we do, it's always we or us. So what are we doing? Right? What are we accomplishing? There are a few individuals that they actually show you that yeah, they are on the path that you recognize, but somewhere along the path, they decided to take a diverting path, or they just understood something differently, and they just the whole translation of how they behave on you know what they understand is just totally different from what you're supposed to be, right?
mhm,
Like what you just mentioned, humbleness, gratification, and like, you know, normal confidence, not toxic confidence where you're imposing it on someone else, or you're using it as your primary perspective to get anything or everything you want the way you'd like it. So it doesn't work that way.
It does for some people.
How so? Expand, please.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying everybody, but a lot of people, that confidence and things go the way my way gets them very high, but also
I think that's leadership. See, that's not in
no,
terms of
no,
like,
leadership is different. Leadership isn't like throwing your achievements and successes in anyone's face. Leadership is more like I'm going to guide you to a higher path
for
where
sure.
you
Yeah.
can be the best version of yourself that they can be.
Hmm. Okay, what about a boss then?
I mean, it depends. Like, what kind of boss are you talking about? Are you talking about a boss that's a leader?
But
Or
you
a,
can't be a leader if you're a boss.
yes, you can.
No, you can't.
Yes, why can you not? I've seen so many people be bosses
Okay,
and leaders at
think
the
about
same
this.
time.
Okay, picture this. Okay, on the left side, you've got someone who's a boss, right? There are three people that are pulling a box. Okay, the
Mhm.
boss is
Are you talking
standing
about
on.
that like famous quote or meme that's like circulating social media?
Well, it's not a meme, it's a depiction, and it actually makes
Yes.
sense because a boss is going to tell you to pull the box. A leader is going to pull the box with you. So you
Or
can't.
teach you how to pull the box in the best way that you can.
Yeah, but you're doing it together. So when you're leading someone, right? The same word you use, I'm guiding you. When you're
Mhm.
guiding someone, you cannot point them in the direction, tell them go. You see, when you're guiding them, you're standing on their side so that if they fall, they're falling, but you're still on their side to make sure that they don't stay fallen.
Okay, so to expand on what you just said, I'm gonna use my personal experience. Okay, so for
Okay.
work, or yeah, for work, I think work is the best example. I'm given a task by my boss. Okay,
Okay.
she does not micromanage me in any way. She lets me do what I have to do, gives me the results that I need. She needs, not I need. But say I have a couple of things I need to do, and she wants A and B. This is the result
Mhm.
that I need to do. How you get there is
On
based
you.
on the teachings that you've been taught or the training that you've gone through. Just do what you have to do to get there. If you fall in between, if you make a mistake, or if you fall back, any problem that happens, you can either troubleshoot or come and ask me for help, and I will guide you to get to where you need to be. Now she's
Mhm.
being a boss and a leader at the same time.
Yeah, because well, in that sense, you see, she has to be a boss where she doesn't have to micromanage you, but at the same time, she has that mentality where she's not bossing you to do things. She's leading you where she's delegating the task, just
Yeah, but
giving
that's what I
you
so when
the
in terms of boss and leader, did you mean like a boss in terms of like this is my boss, or did you mean someone who just bosses you around? Because if you mean in terms of boss, then you can be a boss and a leader. But if you mean in terms of someone bossing you around, then yeah, obviously bossing you around isn't much of leadership.
well, given in context of work, I did mean boss as your manager or whoever
Okay.
it is above you, but well, I mean, I guess that is enough having to look at it, but it's just that in everything that I have always like conversed and found out with other people when they tell me their stories and everything that I've seen with working
Mhm.
here, right? Like there is a clear it could be the same person too. I'm not saying that, but it's just that sometimes you do see a distinct line or a feat or a distinct, action or a piece of sentence that they say that clearly distinguishes, okay, in some contexts, yeah, you are a fit person to lead, and I
Mhm.
will pick up my axe and my shield and I will fight behind you, right? But then other times the same person is going to do a few antiques, and it's like, okay, that's a boss kind of mentality where, okay, I work for you, but that is the extent of our relation, right? Anything further than that is just very corporate and very very digital. Sorry, not digital, but very numbery, if
Right.
that makes sense. But yeah, so
Okay.
that's just what I went on, and I mean, hey, given what you told me, if we have people like that, then I mean that's something I would endorse. Where you have that clear mentality of like, okay, just because I am in a position above you does not mean I will have a
Kick you
certain
down.
perspective of power
Right.
or even keep you down. See, because
Mhm.
yeah, even power even also plays a very big role in things that you do, right? So that's a good thing. I would actually endorse more people to be that way, where someone can come to you regardless of you being above them or not. You
Mhm.
see.
we just like diverged to another topic.
I think we did. I really think we did.
This happens to us all the time.
I mean, hey, listen, if I really think that attaches to a certain understanding between two parties where if it's so high, you understand so many things that you want to just talk about it all, and you're just like, can you
Yeah,
just pick one and just
I
stay
know,
there?
I know. That
Something
happens.
that's not, you know,
But I mean, okay, I need to talk about this for okay, all of you, none of you actually. I'm the only one that can see Meat right now. But his hair looks very nice, and I want to know what you did about your hair.
listen, man,
Why
I
is there is this the new
personally like.
hairstyle you tried?
No, I'm not trying no hairstyle. I just woke up one day with annihilation on my mind, okay, and I just took a shaver and I just buzzed my entire head, okay, because I was really exhausted with dealing with hair
Use like
fall.
a Britney Spears moment.
I think so. I really think so because about a week and a half ago I was like binging on her albums and I'm just oh no, man.
Oh
I,
wow.
I,
She
yeah, man.
influenced you.
Oh, she really did because I just woke up and I was like, you know what? The world is gonna burn today, and I really took that razor machine and just buzzed my entire head.
So
Like,
this is like a really funny story. So I have very curly hair, if anyone doesn't know, and I have a lot of
mm-hmm,
hair. So as a
mm-hmm.
child, my
You calling
mom
yourself
would,
Chewbacca?
yes, it constantly looks like I got an electric shock and my hair just refuses to give up static and just wants to stand. But besides the point, my mom used to just like brush my hair and she used to do all these different hairstyles and I'd love it. But one day, I don't know what happened. I took my dad's razor and I shaved like the back of my head, like just above the neck. It was like a really big patch that I just like shaved off. I don't know why I did this. I have no recollection of the reasoning behind this, but I know what I told my mom. So I didn't tell my mom that day, obviously, because the rest of my hair was blocking off that little patch. No, okay, sorry, little is an understatement. That huge patch that I just shaved off. And that night there was a robbery in our compound. So
You should have blamed the robbers,
that's
honestly.
what I did.
You did not. Oh
Oh
my
my god.
God. Oh my
So
God.
they
You
was
did not.
let me tell you, let me stop. You're taking away this whole story.
I'm
Um,
quiet.
so we were so three houses were together in one line. And I think it was Friday night or something. So we were all at one person's house for dinner. And these robbers came in and you could hear them outside, like breaking the glass of the cars and taking stuff. So we all, shut off the lights and like just stayed quiet and called the police. I think we called the police. I'm pretty sure we
I
called the
think
police.
we call the police.
I'm
Okay.
pretty sure we called the
Right.
police. But the next morning, when we woke up for breakfast, I told my mom that the back of my head was shaved, and she was like, "What happened?" And I said, "I don't know, mom.
The
Yesterday
robber.
when the robbers came,
What? No, I want to hear the rest of it. When the robbers came.
when the robbers came, I guess I was looking for something and I didn't know what I was doing." And then my hair was in my face, so I just like shaved it off. And she's like, "It's the back of your head. How is that
Exactly.
in your face? And how did the robbers make you do this?" And I don't know.
This stressed me out, Mom.
I don't understand my thinking behind it, but I know I blame the robbers and I blame the fact that it was in my face, but it doesn't make sense because it was the back of my head. That was my shaving story.
It's very nice. I have
The look
a
on my
story.
mom's face was
Oh, must have been
priceless.
priceless.
Yes,
Must have been
priceless.
priceless. Because I can imagine, like, she is a brown parent, and in that situation, you were quite young. I'm gonna assume, and
Mhm.
just something in my gut tells me that it's scary,
Delicate,
delicate.
scary.
Yeah,
And
in a very del.
it was like
How about
the
sensitive?
Mungiki. You
Let's
remember Mungiki?
don't even get me started on that group of like they were so
So again,
notorious. Oh my God.
I have to give context. Mungiki is like a group of, it's a gang basically that roamed Nairobi during Christmas
Streets.
time, particularly. So this was during Christmas. This was like in December, in the last weeks of the year, and this gang was like notoriously known for, you know, robbing people during this time. So those are the people that came in. That's why we
Yes,
were all
very
scared.
notorious. And I don't think they really had any remorse for any physical damage they did onto you. That they
No.
would actually like really beat you to an inch of death and just leave you rotting on the side of the road.
Yeah.
Pretty
They,
crazy.
I have I don't know why I have a picture of them in a pickup
Why do you have a
truck.
picture of
No, in my
Mungiki?
mind, I don't
Okay,
have an
okay,
actual
okay. Sorry, I was
picture
just
of the
like,
Mungiki. I'm saying
sorry.
in my mind, when people would describe the Mungiki, because they were like, oh, they'd like carry axes and just like roam, pangas, like those
Yes,
pangas, they carry
yes.
that and
Machetes.
they just roam in pickup trucks. So I have an image in my mind of like 15, 20 Mungiki sitting in the back of a white pickup truck with like their pangas just looking around to see who their next target is.
I used to think along the same lines. They're just roaming, and the moment you like make eye contact and they
You're dead.
realize that that
Yeah.
yeah they're gonna come for you. It's it's rather unsettling sometimes because you hear about these things going on, and then at the end of the day you're in the public transport going back to where you live, to your
Mhm.
parents and everything, and you're just like, did you hear what happened on the news, or did you hear about this happening?
Yeah.
And they look at you like, yeah, that's happening, and if you don't do this, and we're just gonna literally drop you off in front of their qualta. And I'm just like, okay.
So,
You guys.
um, back to our topic of expectations. Tell
Right.
me, have you ever placed an expectation on somebody else?
Scenario
Oh, give me an
account.
anecdote of a time where you've placed an
um
expectation on someone and it hasn't gone the way that you wanted it to or expected it to.
oh, I mean, off the top of my head, it was a general theme that was around me and all the people I was friends with in high school, at least, where as we are growing together in whatever it is that we are doing together and individually, with the people that you start getting close to, at least, I did place a certain extent of expectation, right? Where some part of me inside understood that, okay, I am putting a certain you know, selection of input into this friendship, into our bond, into what it is that we're doing every day together, right? Let it be sports, let it be hanging out after school, let it be study sessions, let it be, um, preparing for like a school event, anything, And I thought that, okay, if not at least common human courtesy,
Mhm.
or at least even basic courtesy, where you recognize that, okay, this person is putting this array of input into this, and by default, if not automatically, I have to reflect the same level, if not identically the same input.
Right.
So with a lot of the people that I was friends with and seemingly getting close to, I I expected that, okay, I'm listening to your problems, and you're ranting out to me, and you know whenever you're feeling emotionally volatile, you come and talk to me, and
Mhm.
I go out there, talking to other people, finding more insights so that I can think of a multiple selection of solutions for you to use in your situations, so that you make the most informed decision rather than you know the most easiest decision by far, and yeah, obviously none of that was ever kind of reflected, because part of it, of course, I do understand. I do attach to just difference of human beings, and difference of thought process and everything.
Mhm.
But at the same time, it was a very conflicting time, to understand the level between that, and also understanding that, okay, there is a certain role that expectation is playing in between us and what we share on a daily basis, in school, in class, on the field, right? Where if you're having your moments in your time where you're confused, or you're angry, or you're just frustrated, or just excited, or whatever emotion it is that you're experiencing, and I am experiencing that emotion with you, right? I'm not dismissing it, and neither am I sidelining it, neither am I,
Mhm.
putting my perspective into it. I am providing a sort of open ground for you to experience whatever emotion it is you're experiencing in its entirety, right? Because part of that thought process is also what I attach to being a quote unquote good friend, right? In return, yeah, I expected, okay, if I've done this for you, then yeah, some part of you'll understand that, okay, he's done this for me, then at least I can, do the same for him, and once in a while at least, not that, I was telling you to do it for me every time, right? In terms of listening to my rants, or, giving me advice in situations that I'm stuck in, or whatever it is, right? But yeah, none of it was actually, reflected back or returned back, or, even actually properly quantified or addressed by the other side. So a lot of that also led to the whole, letting down of expectations, and just,
Mhm.
you know, not being fulfilled. So that kind of, leads you on a whole different path of epiphanies, where you start understanding, even if it's just basic, body language interlaced with like the psychology of, how the person behaving, and, what kind of mindset they have and the thought process they have. So yeah, I think high school would be like the best account I can give, where most of it, at least individually, what I put on the table was not reflected back, so.
I think that's a really good example. I think friendship is the best example that we have. Relationships in general, whether they are romantic or platonic, I think expectations really come into play then. Before then, it's like expectations that you've placed on or have been placed on
The
you by your
situation.
parents, or a situation, like you said, depends on the situation you are
Yeah.
in. But I think in a relationship, that's when you're the one that's placing the expectation on the other person. And it starts in school, particularly high school, when things get complicated, hormones are in play, popularity is,
Oh yeah, definitely.
the competition of it. I've lost a lot of friends. And I'd like to think that I'm a nice person. I don't know if you can attest to that or not, Meet. You're
I
supposed to
can.
say,
I
yes,
can.
Jill, you
Yes.
are a nice person.
I,
But
I, I can attest to that. Yes.
okay, thank you. Especially one. Oh my God, one has stung so much. We used to do everything together. We were inseparable. We had the same classes. We went to the same places. It's like if I was somewhere, she was there. If she was there, I was there. It was just expected. It was like a thing. Like it was an unsaid thing that everybody understood. I don't know what happened, and I don't know why it happened. And there's so many times where I've become a positive person. So I want to look at anything that has come into my life, whether it's been hard or easy, as a lesson or a gift. And kind of hurts because I don't see the light there. And I really want to, because we spent the better half of our lives together. Basically grew up together. It breaks my heart. And I think it was expectations. I had tremendous and really significant expectations from her and of her. But I know in my heart that I have tried my very best up until the end to salvage the situation. Unfortunately, it was not one of the situations that you can bring back to life, but I tried. I know I can rest in peace knowing that I tried. But what really bothers me is that the expectations that I had of her were really what made me feel bad, really made me feel at my low. It's the like I know I'm repeating myself, but it's the expectations that was the reason I felt at bay, that I felt that there was something wrong with our friendship at this point. When you break up with a friend, it's so much worse when you actually break up with somebody you're in love with, because
Definitely.
it's like, oh, it's devastating.
It really is.
It's a really good example that you bring on about expectations and friendship.
Yeah, well, that's also another thing I understand with that, you see, because with high school at least, and I am also going to attach a little bit of my experienced perspective in this, where
Mm-hmm.
um coming from elementary school to high school, one of the core perspectives that I had is that things are there to last, right? I didn't understand the concept of shelf life, you see, because most things out there, and it does not really, uh, it's not really specific, right? Most things out there, like even what we just talked about, friendships, relationships, things in your fridge, the machinery we use, it all has a shelf life, and it comes up to a certain point where you have gotten the maximum value of its use, right? And then after that, it just becomes toxic. And I think it's alongside that the presence of the element of expectations, right? It doesn't even matter how big or small. It's really what kind of just gets a person also ringed up into, their emotions, their feelings and everything. And yeah, it may seem minuscule talking about a situation back then, but you have to understand that if you're at level 20 right now and you go back to level 1, you're obviously going to find that level
Right.
hellishly easier. So
Mm-hmm.
you did feel what you felt. I think a lot of that also in terms of emotions and situations and topics like expectations
Mm-hmm.
and requirements and you know even identity crisis and a lot of it has to do with mental health, right? Because
Right.
how the environment is and what kind of um, interactions you get plays a
Mm-hmm.
role in how you also perceive all these concepts, emotions, relations,
Right.
codependency with someone else,
Mm-hmm.
conversations with someone else, right? Because on a daily basis too, I do find a lot of people talking, and even me being involved in those conversations. I really find us being going further down the rabbit hole of conversation where we're conversing to reply. We're not conversing to understand.
Oh,
You
yeah.
see, so when you tell me something, I will reply with a solution or something comforting or something that matches that. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to understand where you're coming from or why you're mentioning that or what is the purpose, right? That is why even I see a lot of people talking in like their own language, right, to see if someone recepts to that, and that is how seemingly apparently you find someone, that is your person. I think at least,
No, I
right?
agree.
Yeah, because it's a lot. It's complex again, as I started off, because it's a lot. It's all about being like a lotus. You're gonna grow either way, whether or not your environment is muddy or not. But at the same time, you are going to be like, let's say, a rose, right? You have thorns on your side, so if someone is trying to get to you, they're still gonna
You have
get
layers of
through.
protection. Yeah.
Exactly, right? And or you could be like this just this fragrant jasmine flower, just absolutely fragrant and just there chilling and just absolutely bringing joy to other people or millions and infinite other things. Oh, sorry about that.
That's okay.
And just a lot of other things, you see. So we don't talk about these things no more, right? Because someone's gonna approach you because uh, life also I've seen is just a long rat race. At least it is what we're plunged into. That oh my God, once you get out of school, it's time to run and make some money. You know, we're not
Oh
we're
my
not really
God.
talking
Don't
about
even get me started on that conversation. I don't think that
that for
that
another time,
topic
I think.
deserves like 16 episodes because it really gets you
That's one
going.
season right there.
Yeah. And I think like you mentioned, a lot of this is branched out into who you are as a person, where you've come from, your environment, your mental health, what's going outside and inside of you. All this is part of it. But like
Moving
when it moving on, but when it comes to expectations, it's hard not to place them. Like even when you're
on.
talking about something as mundane as like a sofa, like I expect the sofa
To be
to
comfortable.
to be comfortable. I expect the microwave to heat up my food. We come back to again handling the situation. How do you handle expectations? How not just
Well,
expectations that you place on others, but yourself. How do you handle them?
well, first of all, you have to understand, at least I try to put myself every day on a path to understand that as much as you are on the path you are and you have to be stern and disciplined and, hard on yourself to, get yourself to fulfill that expectation. There is a certain extent of all of that. You can't push yourself harder for something that you may or may not be able to control in that situation, or the time that it's going to take is not going to match the time that you would like it to take.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of it is just based on just critically understanding what is at play in the situation and then also including my role in that situation. And it's all about just, I think, it's taking it one step at a time. Yeah, I think that's the simplest way I can describe it.
Yeah, one step at a time. I
Yeah,
think
because
also to be able to manage your expectations, to know that these are my expectations. This is not necessarily what the other person is going to do. really helps. I mean, it's really hard to lower expectations because, come on, I think we're all worth having high expectations, regardless of what situation it may be. But having
Think
those
about
high
this.
expectations and knowing and just setting a line of, yes, I'm going to have these expectations, and yes, there will be a time when none of them are met, or some of them are met, or maybe all of them are met, depending on how the other person is. So, regardless of what happens, I'm going to manage the way I feel and manage the way I handle the situation regardless of what the outcome is. I think that's the best thing that you can do, and I think
Yeah,
that's the best advice that I would suggest. I know it's easier said than done, and trust me, I'm giving you I'm saying this, but it's not something that I practice. I think when I have expectations, I have really high expectations, and then when they're not met, I just cry. I think that's my that's my
oh,
go-to for
I cry.
everything.
Okay.
I just cry. It's just how it works.
Well, think about this. You see, even when they work out or not, you see, just think about a door in front of you, and it's just no matter how the situation plays out, with or even without the expectations, you have to be the qualitar to walk through the door, and you have to put the first foot forward.
Right, and I agree.
Basically, what relates to the word of the podcast.
Oh my God, you
I,
win.
I'm sweet.
Okay. Your prize shall await, depending on what it is. But as you were saying, even knowing that there's a door there is, and not even just not, you don't necessarily have to walk through it. Just knowing that there is there, just to have yourself that um outlet where if anything affects you or anything goes wrong, there is a place that you can go to make yourself feel better. I would usually just, like I said, cry. Watch Friends, Modern Family, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, basically anything that
All shows that I'm currently having a
makes,
rerun for. Nice.
yes, makes my heart feel nice or distracts me from the moment at play. And when uplifted myself a little bit, taking a look at the situation that has put me in a place where I have to resort to watching a lighthearted show brings perspective. So I'm like, okay, fine. I can look over any of the factors or outliers that are affecting me and address them. This is a very mature way of doing things. It is not how I do things 100% of the time, but I am trying to
Trying to.
incorporate that into my way of living.
And I
And
think that whole concept of trying every day diligently is what
yes,
counts at the end, in the grand scheme of things, at least, because that's where you can point out and be like, okay, I did this, this, and this, and this, and it is what supplemented, sorry, my end game agenda and everything. So I
yeah,
think I think that's a much more what's the word? Healthy, much more healthy path to pursue, where just one step at a time, a little bit every day, and
yes,
eventually it's going to surmount to
yes,
something.
yes. So, I mean, that's all we have for expectations right now. Like I told you, Meet is expanding his horizons, and you can tell how mature and grown up he sounds. He's not mature and grown up, but that's just what he sounds like right
Yeah.
now. And you can tell my way of dealing problems is crying. So you can, you have the two extremes that you can go for. I suggest the middle, but let's move on to something lighter. So we have decided to go to Panama.
Panama
Now,
it is.
yes, tell me, Meet, do you know where Panama is?
I have a rough idea. I can probably point it out on my map if I pull
Okay.
it out real quick. Um, but I do know it's somewhere in the south.
Yes, it is in Central and South America. I used to hear of Panama a lot. It sounds like an escape.
Oh yeah, yeah. A
Do you
lot
know what
of
I'm
the
saying?
thing is it's a very small small like populated country, and
Yes.
well, I don't think it's a country. I think it's a country. It's a country.
It's a country.
Sorry,
It's a country.
yeah, it is. And what basically put it on the map is the Panamanian Canal, right? And
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the first time that I personally heard of Panama was in the at least personally much revered show Prison Break. It
Oh
was
my God, I was just gonna say Prison Break is where
yeah.
I heard of Panama too.
Prison Break is also where I first encountered Panama, and I did look at a couple of photos and history, and even just scenes in the show itself, and it really does look beautiful.
Yeah, and the capital of Panama is Panama City, so that's
That's
really not hard
nice.
to remember.
Not
Um,
really.
I want to say the president's name, but I don't want to sound ignorant because I don't know how to pronounce it. Laurentino Cortizo.
Laurentino
Uh,
Cortese, right?
yes, I don't know if I'm saying it correctly. If I am not, I apologize.
You're close to it in the English dialect, I think.
What? I'm sorry.
I'm saying in terms of at least the English language, like the pronunciation is as close as it's
As
pretty
close as
good.
I
Like,
can
yeah,
get. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Right. Okay. Thank you. So a lot of people have been asking, is Panama safe? I think one of the main things, it's like something I'd like to reference back to Kenya, which I talked about before. I don't know why, but every city that's not developed or every country that's not developed, is the question always arises that is it safe?
Yeah.
I gave you Kenya as a personal experience because I've lived there for 2 decades. So I think I know how the way things work there. But I never lived in Panama, so I don't know. So I just Googled this. And it says that Panama's overall risk is medium. Panama is generally safe, but you should take precaution on the streets of major cities after dark. So it makes sense. Pickpocketers, like, you go to New York City, if someone bangs, like, hits you, not bangs into you, I'm sorry. If
Well,
someone,
hello.
like, bumps into you, make sure to check your wallet or your purse just to make sure everything is there. So I guess it's relatively safe. Do they speak English in Panama? So
Uh,
in Panama, most people speak Spanish.
Spanish, right? Yeah, that's the one.
Yes. And about 14% of the population is fluent in English, and it
Very
is the
nice.
second common language in the country. Okay. Did
That's
not
that's
know
that's
that.
cool.
Right. Okay, so mind you, I'm just reading off Google questions, which
Right.
seem to be, the most popular questions of them.
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay, this is really dumb. Can you use US dollars in Panama?
Uh,
Um,
yeah.
oh, okay, what? Okay,
No.
no, you can. Money in Panama. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you can use US dollars. You can use US dollars everywhere.
No, you
But
can't. You
where can you
can't use
not?
US dollars in Cuba because you go there and they have a specific currency that they give the tourists, and they have a separate currency that the locals use. So you can't even exchange Cuban money from here. You have to go to the country and get it exchanged.
Oh, did not know that.
Now you know.
Now I know. So Panama's official country is Balboa. A
Balboa. Isn't that an
Balboa.
island?
No, it is a currency, and the exchange rate for a Balboa has always been tied to the US dollar. So $1 equals one Balboa.
Wow. That's a
Yeah,
pretty good economy, I think.
right. But Panama does not, however, print its own paper currency and instead uses a US dollar as its legal tender. Did you know
Oh,
that?
oh. Wow, no, I didn't know that. No.
But
Interesting.
it is beautiful. I mean, obviously, if it's like a small island surrounded by water, you can expect.
Oh
Have you?
yeah. Oh yeah. Pretty cool place.
Mm-hmm. So that's where in the world we are today. Now,
Panama,
do you have
Panama.
anything else exciting about Panama that you know that we don't know?
No, that is my bad. No, I don't really know much about the place, but it is one that I have all it is on my list to visit because it does look absolutely lovely. And one of my close coworkers is also from there, and um we are always talking about having a visit there, seeing how it is.
Ooh, if you do have a visit there, please make sure to let me know.
I definitely will.
I shall be there.
And be there you shall.
Okay. Again, so if anyone wants to sponsor this trip too, you know where to find me.
Yeah, I heard about the advertisement in your previous
Yeah.
month.
This ad is still there. You still feel like sponsoring and you don't like the idea of going us anywhere in Europe, you can do Panama. We're okay with that. So
Just
again,
to
like
like
last
go from
time,
the page.
yes. So I'd like to see sentences with the word
Qualta.
qualta. See, I didn't even remember it. I couldn't. This was not a fair
It's a
game.
rare word. Come on, like I'm not
Very
gonna
rare.
give
And
you
I
an
like it.
easy
I'm
word like
I'm really
tea.
glad that you brought it along with you because it really I can leave this podcast knowing one extra word.
Well, let me
Booyah.
know. I mean, hey, it saves me the hassle of buying you word of the day toilet paper, right?
Oh yeah. I think I'd actually have liked that. So I'm gonna bring the hassle back onto the table and you might as well just get me word of the day toilet paper. I'd
Okay,
appreciate it.
okay, all right.
But in the meantime, anyone else that has a creative sentence with that word, again, it means that's your cue to say what it means.
Oh, sorry, yeah, no, it's a noun basically meaning the first foot of a person who, uh, you know, the first person who walks through a threshold, and usually it's after an event like New Year's. So basically, the first person you see walking through a threshold, the first foot that they put forth, then the description of that is called qualta.
Yes. So a sentence with that. Anything creative wins a e-gift card. And no, don't
Uh,
worry.
can I?
Unfortunately,
No, I was gonna ask. Can I also participate in your previous one to form a sentence? Because I do have a sentence for that.
yes.
For the word schmuck.
Yes.
Um, it is a quote unquote dialogue from the movie Rush Hour 3, and it is where the taxi driver that was the supporting character had
Mm-hmm.
brought uh, the lead characters of that was played by Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker,
Mm-hmm.
um, because because the movie is all about death and assassinations and like, well, not assassinations, but I think it started with an assassination, and just the gang of Hong Kong and everything. The wife turns to the turns to the husband and is like, come here, schmuck, or like, come with me, schmuck, or something like that. And just the way she said it was really hilarious. So when I heard that, that was the first thing that popped into my head. So I could look for like the timestamp, but it's in the Rush Hour movie, Rush Hour 3
Okay.
to be.
Well, unfortunately, you do not win
No.
because it wasn't your creative sentence. It was somebody else's,
Oh,
but you just
okay,
copy
okay, okay.
pasted onto me.
It has to be your own.
Yes, obviously it has to be your own.
Okay, I mean, I never heard
Or maybe even it tweaked a little bit, but you did not. So I am taking business law right now. So what you just did was copyright infringement,
Well,
if
no,
I'm
in
not
terms of
mistaken.
no, that is not copyright infringement because I cited and the
Okay,
fact that it's
fine.
from
It
Rush
doesn't
Hour 3.
matter. I'm
Come
still,
on,
let
I did
me
not
just,
plagiarize this.
yeah,
This is how
no.
we get stuck. Okay, in
I know
pyramids
you didn't.
and
I know
everything
you
else.
didn't plagiarize this. I know you didn't plagiarize this. But that's not what copyright infringement is. Even if you
I'm
give,
familiar with the concept, yes.
okay, fine. Okay. You are familiar. I'm sorry. I just learned it. So I'm doing a
No,
paper on it too.
you feel intelligent, don't you?
No, I mean, I feel knowledgeable. Maybe not intelligent, but yes,
Knowledgeable,
sure.
yes.
Uh, so again, I'm sorry. I'm bringing this back again. A sentence with this wins a gift of you don't have to hear me sing if that's not what you want, but if you do, I will be happily do that. And okay, I think that is it for today. I have my long list of social medias in which you can get to me and send me these little DMs. Any feedback is welcome. Topics you'd like to be unfiltered is also welcome. Uh, any comments are also welcome. So if you want to leave comments, if you want to get back to me, whatever that you feel like we need an interaction for, I have social medias to do so. And I have social medias on mostly all. We should have a drinking game. How many times I say social media, you should drink. So I've said it so many times. So the first one is the website, unfilteredforyou.com. The 4 is a letter, 4 is a number, and U is a letter. I'm sorry, I do this all the time. So unfilteredforyou.com. You can leave me a direct message. Also, you can subscribe to my monthly playlist. You will not regret it. Only one person has subscribed. So I am officially just going to send that one person my monthly podcast for April. But
Is it on Spotify?
you should too. I promise you, you will be very happy at the end of that playlist. So that's the website. Instagram, you can find me at unfiltered for you. For again is a number, you is a letter. Twitter is underscore unfiltered for you again for a word for a number. Oh my god, and you a letter. And Facebook again, it's just a page at unfiltered for you. I'm not going to say the same thing again. I think you guys know. So yeah, those are my social medias. Hit me. Let's have a conversation.
Wait, literally or on social media?
On social media. You're too far away to even hit me right now. I don't understand why that was a question.
Sorry, I was trying to be humorous.
That's a key word there, meet.
Trying, right?
Yes.
Yes.
See you again next week. Thank you for
Definitely.
unfiltering the filtered with me today.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'll see you soon.
Yes. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.